Hi, it's me again. So this will be my final reflection for NIST Rooftop Garden because it's just about the almost the end of the first semester and we'll be signing up for the ECAs after. So I decided to just end it here and then maybe start the same experience again. Okay, so I'll just answer the questions and then I will explicitly address the learning outcomes. So, first one is what you perceive and notice when doing this cast experience. Um, it's very quiet. Everybody's, working on the. Sorry. Yeah. Everybody's working on the plants. Everybody's quiet. We all know what's going on. We all know what's happening. And I would just say that the experience is just very fun in general because it's weird. I've always wanted to sort of have a starter garden just to see like the type of commitment you need to make. Being there, watering the plants, doing the drainage, uh, making sure they get enough sunlight or making sure they don't get too much sunlight, things like that. So yeah, the experience I feel good about it. I feel it's like a very positive experience. It really helps. Actually, I'm not going to go as far as saying that it helps the environment, but I am going to say that it helps in this community in the sense that some produce that we grow goes to the NIST cafeteria, which is then used to make the NIST food. So I think that that's a very ethical and morally correct way of utilizing those crops. So what value does the cast experience have? I would say that the main value is not taking things for granted because when you see the amount of effort you have to put into to grow the excuse me my bad when you see the amount of effort you have to put into growing these crops, cultivating them, making sure they're of good quality, it really opens your eyes to you know how much you might take the food on your plate for granted, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, I think that that's the one of the biggest values, just not taking what you have on your plate or what you eat for granted. So what did I learn from this CAS experience and how might I apply this to my life more generally? I think that the main thing that I learned would be, hmm, it would either be preservation or I guess commitment. I've generally always been committed to things. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. Um, I generally haven't been fully committed to a lot of things long term. So I think that with rooftop, having to be there for the plants, making sure they don't die, watering them, make sure they get enough sunlight, all that jazz. I think that that's definitely something that I can carry out into my own life. In general, it could even be for the smallest things. For example, staying committed to finishing a piece of homework in this amount of time, for example, or more long term, staying committed to doing a sport, for example. So commitment is I think the one thing that really translates from this cast experience to my real everyday or long term life. So now I will address the learning outcomes explicitly. The first one is show commitment to and perseverance in cast experiences. So I think I've done this by just in generally going to as many rooftop sessions as I can, the meetings as well, just trying to participate as much as possible, giving my ideas, trying to help the rooftop environment as well. I might even center my cast project around it. I was thinking about making a sort of not a filtration system, but when it rains a lot of the water is just it's not wasted, but it just goes to the drainage and it causes problems. So my idea was we have this sort of like sun roof thing. So my idea was to like make a you could say a bamboo sort of pipeline that leads sort of inwards to the plants and that waters them just the right amount using that rainwater, so that we don't even waste that. So that was just an idea I thought of during my CAS interview. And the last one is demonstrate the skills and recognize the benefits of working collaboratively. When working with plants, you can work on it by yourself, but it's just so much more fun, when you're working collaboratively, and it's just it creates a more fun and enjoyable environment, not just for you, but for everybody else. It's generally nicer to do things with other people. So I think in just working collaboratively in general, like when doing a difficult task or when doing a long-term task, it's just generally better to have more minds on it because it not only does it give you a broader spectrum, as in like you can think of many more things and things like that. So, for example, solutions to problems is again just a fun environment. So I think that working collaboratively does create an enjoyable environment. Um, yeah, that's essentially it. I've had a lot of fun in Rooftop Garden. I might sign up again after the December break, so that I can really get started to work on my cast project. It is going to be difficult with the amount of work I have, especially with my design IA. Um, so finding the time to work on the pipeline, set it up, make sure the right amounts of water go to the plant. It is going to be challenging, but yeah, I think I'm going to have fun with it. I think that it is going to help, you know, people spend more time on more useful things on the roof instead of having to water the plants all the time. I think the challenge I will face the most is probably when there's first a lack of rainwater, but second, because in Bangkok there's never an amount of rainwater that's just right. It's either there's not enough of it or there's too much of it. So it's probably about regulating that abundance that it's going to be difficult. Oh, I just had an idea. I can maybe create like a water tank that leads. So like if the water's going like this, and then it's watering the plants, there could be a water tank on the end here to store any rainwater for later purposes. Anyway, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. This has been my final reflection for Rooftop Garden. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. I just want to say thank you to Kun Shampoo for having me and to the rest of the Rooftop people for allowing me to participate in this experience, not just for cast, but in general, for service. Thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.